Well, hey there, and welcome to Legally Blissed Conversations, and a warm welcome today to my friend Elena Deutsch. My name is Susie Hickson, and I'm a trademark attorney and the founder of the Legally Blissed community. After having practiced law for about 20 years in both big law and with my own boutique practice, I've worked with a lot of lawyers, and I have many women lawyer friends. I've learned that while women lawyers are incredible advocates for others, they don't always seem to be great self advocates. Hence, Legally Blissed was developed to give female lawyers a platform to network and collaborate and support each other, all while learning how to be more fierce and powerful advocates, not just for others, but for themselves and each other. So, again, today I'm thrilled to welcome Elena to discuss her unique journey as an advocate for lawyers. So, just a little bit about Elena. Elena is the founder of WILL, which is Women Interested in Leaving Big Law. And in 2017, she founded it in 2017, and she's helped over 100 women lawyers find their path to clarity, relief, and careers that have them waking up with a smile on their face. Elena has spoken at bar associations across the country, and her work has been featured in Above the Law, The American Lawyer, and Wall Street Journal. Welcome again, Elena. I am so happy you're here. You're not a woman lawyer, but you are an incredible advocate for women lawyers.
I love how you said that. That rings very true.
Yeah, we need it. We need as much advocacy by others as we can, right? And we need to help even people who aren't lawyers need to kind of step up, I think, and support us because, there's lawyer jokes and, it's a demanding career, and it's great when there's someone out there that we can kind of lean into for support. So I want to talk about you and your journey and how you got to founding a company, WILL, WILL. Yeah. So let's go back just a few years. So what did you major in undergrad? I'm kind of curious about like your educational path.
Yeah, I mean, I majored in art history.
So art history. I mean, who knew?
Yeah, nothing connected. I just knew I wanted a liberal arts degree, and I enjoyed it. And I knew I wanted to go to Italy and study art in my junior year. And so that was what I majored in. And I figured I would figure the rest out afterwards.
I think that's great. Like, unless you really know that you want to go into a particular career, getting a liberal arts, kind of going to a liberal arts school and doing something like that, I think is really smart. I mean, art history, you technically could go to med school or law school with
you could do anything. Yeah. You can. But I mean, I think my go ahead. I'll let you ask your questions, but I think the origin for WILL actually started when I was a kid.
Interesting. Okay. Well, let's talk about it. Like, let's go back to like what the nugget was. Like, what happened? Like,
the nugget was my dad was a criminal defense attorney. And he was. I loved going to the office with him. I loved helping him file his. He would use the yellow legal pads and file his files for him, like you have right there. And I always thought I would be a lawyer like him. I loved to go to court with him.
Yeah.
And we would do mock trials around my dinner table, taking turns being the defense attorney, the prosecutor, the judge, the jury. And all that really came to a screeching halt when my dad didn't come home one night when I was 14 because he had been arrested for trying to embezzle money from a client.
Oh, okay.
So he really, he went off the deep end. And in hindsight, I see it with so much compassion what happened, that what he did was such a cry for help. Right. Mm-hmm. And what we know now about practicing law, for many people, a criminal defense attorney, he was there for people at the worst moment of their life. Right. Like the phone call you never want to make.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think he had tremendous secondary trauma, what we would call now, but with back then, nobody had that language. And, and it made it feel very unsafe for me to go towards law, which I thought I would do.
That's interesting. That's kind of one of those situations where you're going down one path in life, and then all of a sudden there's like this screeching halt. Like, you know what I mean? Like you think you kind of have your path
Totally
planned out.
Yep.
So your dad, okay, so this situation with your dad obviously kind of planted a seed in you.
Yeah, for sure.
What was that compassion? Was that compassion for lawyers overall, and like the stress that we undertake at the end of the day?
I think so. I think yes. I think I wasn't conscious until I really started doing will, and I saw how much suffering there is among lawyers. And you're right, lawyer jokes. My dad was always the one to tell the honest lawyer jokes, right? Which was a clue. But
you have to cope some way, right? I mean,
no pressure valve. But I mean, then sort of just I went into nonprofits and public health, and then I started coaching. And as soon as I started coaching, especially doing career coaching, I was attracting lawyers to me. So I was helping lawyers, men and women, big firms, in-house, kind of figure out if they didn't want to do this anymore, what they really wanted to do. And then I ended up coaching for very large firms, really helping big law firms. And I saw these incredible, bright, dynamic, these women who were incredible advocates for everyone, right, but themselves, like you said, who were giving their whole life force away. And ending up, overlooked or blamed or, passed over for promotions and not able to have children, having miscarriages, and being so
stressed, yeah,
all the stress and anxiety. And so that I think that compassion I was able to extend to them sort of through my will journey. Then I really saw my dad's suffering also.
So is your dad alive today?
No, he died many years ago, over 20 years ago now.
Okay.
And he really was never the same after that. He was disbarred. Fortunately, he didn't go to prison, but he got sick with a brain tumor right before my college graduation. So he wasn't everything fell apart. Yeah. And he was never the same again.
Yeah. So that gives you so much more compassion. Now, I want to talk about women versus men.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. Because, I don't want to lose compassion for men.
Yeah.
Because the career is challenging for them as well.
For sure.
But you work with both men and women. And I think that there may be some unique challenges that we face.
Yeah. I mean, I decided to focus my business on women because they don't advocate for themselves. And I think when men are like, enough, I've had it, they and you're on LinkedIn a lot, right? I see it on LinkedIn, this dad posts, I'm leaving to take care of my family, and it goes viral. And more power to him. It's not a criticism of him at all, right? It's just like a woman does it and she feels shame. She feels, and I'm speaking generally, of course, right? She feels shame. She feels like, what's wrong with me? How come I couldn't hack it? And certainly there are women who are public about it and get support as well. But I think women have a lot more internal hurdles, this is my guess, to overcome, to really allow themselves to clarify and sort through all the good girl, A+ student, and clarify who they want to be, what they want to do, and really go for it.
Yeah. I mean, I think that we're taught different stories as children, and maybe I'm wrong about this, but do you see imposter syndrome more in women than men? I mean, I know men that say that they kind of experience that, but I'm curious about your experience with.
I'm coaching. It's funny. I don't coach that many men, right? I do coach some, and in the coaching, it's not imposter syndrome that I hear from them. It's just, I don't know what I want to do, and I feel like scared to give up the money, but that's kind of it. I'm coaching a man now who's not a lawyer, and he got so much clarity so quickly. He enrolled in a coach training program. He's just like nothing is holding him back, and I love it. It's amazing to watch. And then, I'm coaching a woman lawyer I've been coaching her for years, and she's made so much progress, but she's having trouble ripping that Band-Aid off and really going for it.
What do you mean by ripping the Band-Aid off?
Well, she knows she wants to leave, right? She
Yeah,
knows she wants to leave. She is having a hard time letting go of the money, and we're collaborating with a colleague, Jessica Medina, who I think was on your show also. And so she's going to work with Jessica and she just is like, when you're like jumping rope and you want to jump in and you're waiting for the right moment, you're waiting, and so she's waiting.
Yeah. One thing it sounds like you work with a lot of your clients with is helping them find clarity. Yes. And I guess once they're more clear, it's easier for them to make decisions. So with your coaching program, what does that look like? How do you help people in that capacity?
Yeah, that's great. So I help people. I have a framework, like any good coach, who's been around for a while will develop their own framework. So I have a framework that guides people through this process, so they get very clear and into action. Because the clarity without taking action is not as you don't get the same results, right?
Right.
So it's called ease. So it's elements, appealing new possibilities, study and research, and engage. So that's what EASE stands for. And the first part is really where the E and the A are where we help people get very, very clear. So what are the elements you want present in your work in terms of your unique skills and strengths and talents, what you're great at and love to do, not just cookie cutter, like we want to get you away from the round peg square hole. I want you to get very clear on what lights you up, what is effortless and joyful. Do you want to be in meetings all day brainstorming, or do you want to do solo work, going deep and doing, deep dive on research? What is it that are your unique strengths that you love and want in your day? What are your values? What are your interests? How do you want your life organized? The specifics of your life.
And is that in the capacity of being a lawyer or a professional as well as personal, like outside of work?
Totally. So one client, for example, named Jane in Los Angeles, she did this exercise. She got very clear. She wanted to work for a feminist organization or a very flat organization. She was doing litigation. She loved parts of it. She just really didn't want to do it for a big firm anymore. She wanted to work from home. And it was before the pandemic, and she was very clear she wanted to be able to walk her daughter to preschool and pick her up. That was like,
that's a good priority, right?
Exactly. So those were her priorities. And once she got super clear on all those things, we started looking for the next step, the appealing new possibilities.
Yeah.
And
so what does that look
we brainstormed things. Yeah. So together we take your unique list and then brainstorm. And one of my top strengths is ideation. So I'm always getting ideas. And my not being a lawyer, I think, comes in really as an asset here, because I've been in lots of different industries, and I was a consultant in lots of different industries and coached across many, many companies. So I have lots of ideas. And so we brainstorm and then help you come up with a list. And some of the things on the list might be jobs, they might be industries you want to look at, that might be companies that you've always had a crush on. You've always wanted to work for Etsy, let's say, or I'm just making it up, right? And and then you begin, and it might also have fun things on it that you want to include more in your life. Mm-hmm. So when I did this with one person, some of the things on her list were like, take Japanese, go whitewater rafting, take a sailing class. Like she allowed herself to brainstorm fun.
Yeah. Okay. So this is interesting. I want to talk with you a little bit about the benefits of working with someone who's not a lawyer.
Yeah.
Right. Because, I know a lot of lawyer coaches and consultants, and, I think that we can get a bit myopic in what possibilities. We don't tend to be, and this is again a generalization, but that's okay. We're gonna allow for that today.
Right, we're allowed.
I think that a lot of lawyers just aren't very entrepreneurial, right? Like they don't really think outside the box, and I think that's where a lot of kind of lawyers struggle in their own careers is that they think that they've chosen to be a lawyer and that this is the path that has been created for them. And so they are just kind of blinders on. They're not looking at all of these different things that they can do with their career.
Yeah. I mean, I think mostly they just don't know. That's what I hear from people. It's like, I don't know what else is out there. I don't know. And so this is, I think, a real benefit of me and the coaches. So I also have a team of coaches who work with people. They're independent contractors and they work with some of my clients. So they work with some clients, I work with some clients. But when they're working with someone, they'll review kind of their person's, all the data that we take people through in this process. They do a lot of soul searching and generate their own data. And then we sift through it. And then we brainstorm together with that person. So I got my eyes on everyone in my program.
Yeah.
So some of them are lawyers and some of them aren't. So the more people you have on an idea, it's like, it's exponential. It's not just the value of your own thoughts alone.
It's like a mastermind of coaches.
It is. It's kind of like we mastermind on the brainstorm, and it's super fun.
Yeah. And super valuable for your clients because kind of like what you said, like the whole is greater than the sum of its parts.
Totally. Yeah.
Yeah. When you have so many people that kind of come to the table with these different experiences and ideas, it's going to, I don't know, like the possibilities of what your clients can do.
Totally.
So propose to them is just.
Yeah. So we just have more ideas. And I think the other value of having a non-lawyer coach is that I'm just an outsider, right? So I'm able to see what I call the mishigas, which in Yiddish is like kind of the craziness. And I'm able to be like they have you just working all night because you're collecting more 6-minute bags of money for them.
The 6-minute bags of money. I've never heard that, but I like it.
But it's kind of true. It's like terrifyingly true when you think about it, right? It's like, why are there so many fire drills? Well, if you're sleeping, you're not making the money in the current business model for most firms, right? Yeah. So come on, we got a deadline. And how many times do you hear from your friends and colleagues? They told me, hurry up. And then no one touched it for 2 weeks, right?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
All the time. And some of that is personality, but some of that is by design, right? Let's keep our people as busy as possible because we collect more money.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, I always felt kind of like a cog in just the wheel of the machine that was moving along. I just did the work and lived life in 6-minute increments.
Yeah.
Pulling in the 6-minute money bags.
Exactly.
When they were billing me out at crazy rates. And
exactly.
I made plenty of money as a young associate, but it's still a fraction of what I was being billed at. So
totally. And so I'm just not plugged into that. Like I don't get triggered by it. I'm outside of it. And I think I offer a unique perspective because of that.
So I want to ask you, in a minute, I want to go on through your the S and the E.
Okay, good.
E's. But before we go there, you work. So I think it's interesting how your company is women interested in leaving, and then like for a while you kind of had like a little parentheses there, Big Law.
Yeah.
Right. It sounds like you originally worked with people who were interested in leaving Big Law, but it really is a lot. Your consulting and coaching has really expanded beyond Big Law.
Totally. And that's why I sometimes put the big in and I sometimes drop it. It's not technically, it depends on the day. But when I started, I thought I was really going to be serving primarily 3rd through 8th year associates, right? In big law firms. And that is sort of the bulk of who we serve. And I, of course, love them because they have so much potential, so much energy for where they want to go. But I started attracting and serving women who were 25-year plus equity shareholders and first-year associates and people in-house and women who've taken a pause or a step away from the practice because they were burnt out or exhausted or raising kids or taking care of parents or, wanting to just take a break. So
and that's okay.
And it's awesome. And it's all awesome. And I think what's unique about Will is that we have created a community of women lawyers at all phases of their legal journey, but they share this identity. They share some of the hangups with trying to make a career that they love. They worry about how to not earn this kind of money, and they feel less alone. They know that they're not crazy, and if they want to leave the law or they want to love it, there's a place for them and will.
I love that. I love that. I mean, because I feel like back in the olden days when I was kind of percolating about leaving a law firm, and it was the worst time ever. It was like 2008, 2009 that I started thinking like this might not be a good fit for me. But of course I was like holding on. I was grateful every day that I had a job. So there was no way in heck I was going to leave. But the thought started percolating, and anytime I talk to someone about it, they're just like, you're absolutely insane. Like, why would you leave this career? And I'm just like, it's not fulfilling to me. Like there's something that's really just missing with this, because I go to work every day and I come home and it's just like I'm not being personally fulfilled for some reason.
Yeah.
And I know that that's really what you work with a lot of clients on.
Totally.
It's becoming more okay to want to leave practice and not have to even have a justification for it,
Totally. And like the business model is designed for people to leave. And this is one of the things I can go on a rant about, right? It boggles my mind, whereas there's so much shame and stigma for being honest about not wanting to be a partner.
Yes.
Right? And it comes to a point where that the firm and the person have to have that conversation.
Oh, there's a conversation. I remember this conversation very vividly.
Right. And then as if there's something wrong with you if you don't want that. And even if you know it deep in your heart that you don't want it, but you feel like you have to pretend because that's the culture.
Right.
And this boggles my mind. But I think, again, it's by design. It keeps people anxious and working and billing.
Yeah.
And so if you feel like there's something wrong with you because you don't want this, well, you better hurry up and get with the program. But I do hope places like Legally Blissed and Will and all the other lawyer coaches, because when I started in 2017, there really wasn't as many options of people you could work with to help you figure out what do I want? What do I really, really want? And can I let myself have it?
So let's go back into helping figure that out. I want to go back to ease.
Okay, good.
So you're like, you get excited about that. I can tell.
Yeah.
And I love that. Like, this is your framework that you created.
Yeah. So with the E elements, your skills, your interests, your values, those specifics. Do you want to work, in office, hybrid? What do you want? Get really clear what it is you love.
Can define it, and that's cool.
Exactly. And no one else can do that for you. No one else can do that for you. And this client said yesterday, she said, I finally realized no one else knows what's better for me than I do. It's like mic drop moment.
That's a huge awakening for her.
Huge.
That's cool.
Huge.
Yeah.
It's cool. And she's actually writing a novel. She stopped practicing. She went from big law to in-house to leaving that, and she's writing a novel.
Yeah.
It's incredible.
That's awesome. That's really cool.
I know. So the E elements: A, appealing new possibilities, where we brainstorm. The S stands for study and research.
Study and research. Okay. I had that written down, but I can't read my own handwriting.
So this is where you go beyond the Google, right? Yes, you do some Googling. Yes, you do some LinkedIn. But this is where you really get out there and have conversations with people. And this is often a place where people get stuck on their way to getting what they really want. But you have to get out there. And this is what we help people overcome, that stuck place and that fear of I'm going to bother them. I don't know anyone in that industry. I don't know anyone in that company. And because we have a community of over 100 women lawyers, who do you know who works at Etsy? Who do you know who works at Apple? Who do you know who is a project manager in the food industry? Whatever it is. And we help you find people to network with, to have informational interviews. We teach you how to do that because it's not the same thing as an interview. And you get real data and information about what it takes, what a day in the life is like in that. So you get to do all that good due diligence that the lawyers love to do and really vet these new opportunities to match them to your checklist. Is this a fit?
So this is key. This is important because I think back when I was doing interviews before I went to law school, and a few times I did some in-house interviews when I was in a law firm, and there were interviews. It wasn't exploratory. I wasn't getting to know GlaxoSmithKline. Like I wasn't getting to know the company. They were getting to know me,
right?
But I was getting to know them more of like, would I be a good fit would I be a good fit to work here?
Exactly. You just said it. Would I be a good fit here? Right? You're trying to sell yourself. And that's the opposite of informational interviews.
Okay. Yeah.
It's a two-way street. You're gathering that data. Would I like to be here? Is this a fit for me?
Yeah. But
so I think I could add value here. Right.
And then,
exactly. And then what invariably happens is you go on these conversations, you're gathering data, you're talking to more and more people. Again, we support you through this process because it's scary. And there's someone who she wants to go into animal care, and she did an informational interview at her vet's office, and there was an opportunity there. Then she's taking the next step and now she's having an interview. But it didn't start that way. She wasn't like knocking on doors looking for jobs.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's different. It's a different approach when you're going in for like an informational interview versus
totally.
Oh my God, I hope they like me.
Right. Or seeing a posting and applying and putting the resume and going to the black hole that you never hear from again. Right. It's very strategic. Yeah. So I'm both very creative and an ideator, and I'm extremely strategic. And I only want my clients doing the most effective, strategies.
Yeah.
And this is very effective because it opens more doors.
Sure.
And it has opportunities start to come your way.
I like it. So let's talk about the last E, engage.
It's probably my favorite one. You got it. Yes.
Okay.
So we engage in mindset work because mindset without strategy is not effective, and strategy without mindset is also not effective.
Got to have them working hand
in hand. So you can know that I should be doing informational interviews, but if you believe I'm bothering people, I don't have anything to offer, no one's going to want to talk to me, I don't know anyone in this industry, well, what's going to happen? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. You're not going to take action, and you're not going to get exactly. You'll never move forward. Well said.
How many clients do you have that kind of go through this whole process, but when they get to that mindset work, that they just really freeze up?
Well, the mindset is integrated throughout. Right. Okay. So it's not, we don't, even though it's the final E in the acronym, the mindset is woven throughout. So it's woven through. So the very first thing, so in addition to the coaching people get in my program, the live one-on-one coaching, we have group coaching in our community calls, but there's an online course that guides you step-by-step through this whole process. So people can watch a short 4-minute and 27-second video on a mindset tool and do that. And so we really start with both helping you with your energy, because so many people are so depleted when they come to us, and then boundary setting so you can create some space to do this work, and then mindset.
Okay, so what is it like to go through one of your programs? How does that work?
Yeah, so when you come into Will, first, usually we have a conversation, make sure it's a great fit. I actually have a former Will member, now alumni, who has actually joined my team as a program ambassador because she was telling everybody about Will. So now she gets a little money when she helps someone make a decision that's right for them, if it is, to join Will. And I'm so honored and proud of that.
That's exciting.
It is. And actually
the success of someone that you actually brought through your program, and now they're helping you.
Yeah.
They're helping about the program itself.
Yeah. And she's so hype, in her own words, she's so hype about it because it feels very fulfilling to her. So like, which is, like you said before, wanting to have fulfilling work. And actually there's another coach who's just on my team, who's also a former member, who went through, got clarity. She wanted to become a coach, did her coach training. And as soon as she was done, I was like, let's chat. And she didn't know what we were going to talk about. I was like, I want you to join the team. And she was
maybe you should start
away.
your own coach training kind of, if you're like developing your own frameworks, like you could sort of do your own
one day there's going to be a will coach training,
right? That would be cool. Like, or like a certification through you. That would be really cool.
It would be one day. I'll get there.
Yeah. Maybe so.
But you asked a question, which was, I got off topic. Oh, so how does it look like? So once you make a decision to come in, you have access to the online course, and we start you with the Welcome and Foundations, which again helps you plug those energy leaks, manage your energy, not your time, because everyone is so strapped for time, lawyers, and then set boundaries. So that's the very first thing we do, help you do that. And then then you get 6 more modules, and you get a module a month. It's a 6-month program, and you go through each one module a month. And you meet with your coach throughout, whether you could do 3 sessions or 6 sessions, or if you're working with me, we have a special program for VIPs that I do. And then you come to our community and group calls, and people are often most trepidatious about coming to our community calls. And they're like, will I be, I think, it's anything when you join a group. Will I be accepted? Is everyone smarter than me? And again, we have lawyers who worked in government for 20 years, who worked in big law for 3 years, who worked in big law then in-house. So everyone's all over the board, and you are welcomed. And I show you the ropes of the ground rules, and we don't should on each other. It's not a place forum for advice giving, but it's been amazing to see women lawyers going to bat for each other.
Cool. Yeah.
Yeah. So then over 6 months, you come to the community calls, you move through the program, you meet with your coach, and you discover what is you really want to do and be and have, and really get on your path towards taking action to make that happen.
I know you've had a lot of success stories, but I'd love to know what your favorite one is.
Ooh, I don't have one. So I'll just say that. I mean, so it's Pride Month. We're recording this in June. And one of my favorite stories is a member came out as trans, and directly connects our work to helping them figure out that they're non-binary. And like the work we did allowed them to leave big law, start their own practice, and come out as non-binary.
So it's interesting that your coaching goes obviously above and beyond professional, it goes to the personal aspects of someone's life as well.
100%. I mean, we start with career, but your career is such an expression of your life, right? And
we have identity wrapped up in our career, right?
So much identity.
That's part of the reason many of us, I think lawyers, women lawyers, and I've talked to so many women lawyers about this, is that we identify so much as a lawyer, and it's so hard to. It's scary. Like you think about losing, leave your practice, leave money, things. Also like that, I'm so tied into my identification, excuse me, as a lawyer.
Yep.
That I'm afraid to lose that. But I tell people you go to law school, we can always say we're lawyers, right? Like you don't even have to pay your bar dues. And well, I guess if you get disbarred, maybe you can't say you're an attorney, but you can still say you're a lawyer. So, but
100%, no one can ever take that away from you, ever. It is something you earned. It is an important part of your identity, and it doesn't mean you have to continue. And one of the things I help people do is separate the noun from the verb, right? Instead of be a lawyer, have that be a primary part of your identity. Are you lawyering or not?
Yeah.
Right? And you will always have that as a part of your identity, and maybe you choose to lawyer or not.
Interesting. I like that. So I'm curious, what does the future look like for Elena and Will?
It's such a good question. The future looks like for Will, I want to make it easier for people to get started. So I'm building a way for people to come in at a lower investment and get started and really experience the love and the bubble of support and the amazingness in the community. So that's happening. That's kind of a big project I'm working on now. Because there's a lot of people who come to me, they're Googling in the middle of the night and they're back to that suffering. There's a lot of suffering and feeling isolated. And
people should know that they can work with you from anywhere, right? Like they don't,
totally.
You're in New York, right? They don't, they can be located anywhere in the world, really. So
anywhere in the world. And we've had clients, members, I like to call members, because once you're a member of Will, it's like a special club that you get to be in. And so people in Hong Kong, in Greece, in Germany, so people all over the world. And so that's happening. I do. Yeah. And I actually built Will to be a virtual business before the pandemic. Mm-hmm. So that was always the intention and the structure.
Yeah, that was smart.
And having, and I think people like having this like very structured support that they can do on their own time and place. And people get lifetime access to the online course. And great. So they can really work through it and return to it when they need to.
That's awesome.
So that's one thing. And then as we're recording this, Jessica Medina and I are actually doing a live retreat together in October 2023.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. So we are doing next week a retreat reveal party. I know.
Will that be on LinkedIn?
It's all over LinkedIn. I'll send you the information.
I'll be there.
Yeah. So we're going to share all the juicy details. Okay. It's in the continental United States. And it's really for women lawyers who they've made progress. They maybe either worked with Jessica or I, or they know they want to get out, but they feel really stuck about the money. And they're stuck in that story of like, who will I be if I'm not a lawyer? Mm-hmm. What else will I do? But in my soul, I know I don't want to continue doing something that's just okay.
Mm-hmm. I have not had Jessica on. I know who she is. Okay. I know that she works kind of on the finance side with lawyers, maybe a former lawyer.
Yes, she is. Yeah.
And that the financial situation is something that we have to figure out if we are transitioning out of lawyering, especially big law, because it can be
totally.
It can be a big difference, right?
It's
it's not a positive income. It's not an increase in income. Let's put it that way.
Maybe not. But like you were talking about before, Susie, how you said, I was billed out at this rate, but I was, even though I made a good salary, you were not bringing in all that money, right? And so, as one Will member once said, the richest people in the world are not lawyers. Right. And when you work for yourself, your earning potential is greater.
Well, it is, right? Like I remember thinking, and that was sort of one of my thoughts about when I was lawyering, I was like, I knew that being an entrepreneur, like even though it was riskier and there was more of a roller coaster in terms of income, I wouldn't be limited. And I just felt so limited working in big law. I was like, I'm making the partners all of this money as one of their cogs, and I'm making, which I loved. As part of the reason I liked it was I loved working with entrepreneurs. But at the end of the day, I was like, all of these entrepreneurs are me. That the skies can be the limit whenever you have your own business.
Totally. So, and that's what's sort of ahead for me and Will also is that a couple of things. One, so after people sort of get the clarity and move through the process in Will, some of them want to do creative pursuits, like the woman I was mentioning before who's writing a novel. So for the past year, I've actually run a mastermind group. I'm looking for my version of The Artist's Way. And I did a year-long mastermind based on the Julia Cameron, it's a very well-known book, The Artist's Way, and helping and the women who've gone through this, we just completed a year yesterday. It was incredible. And people have one person started a Substack. She's blogging and writing 6 days a week. Others are, deep into like really being writers, and they're now owning the identity of writer, or artist or creator or astrologer. And they're not, quote unquote, just a lawyer anymore. So at some point, I'll run another creator circle group. I don't have that on the calendar quite yet.
To go through the artist's way.
Yeah.
I'm gonna stay tuned for that, because I have started and stopped that book several times. I think it's at my house, but
Yeah.
I think that book would be great in a mastermind format.
That's what it was. So we did a year-long mastermind on the Artist Way. We met twice a month. And it profoundly changed these women's lives, because it is a hard book to get through on your own. But when you have the support of other people, and I pair people up with accountability buddies, and we had our own private Voxer channel, it was so fun.
Yeah.
Cool. And then I do also have a mastermind that I sort of also have on the shelf that I might pull out, is called Willpreneurs. For people like you who are lawyers who have an entrepreneurial dream, and helping them make that into manifest reality.
I love it. And you are clearly an entrepreneur, because you are creating things out of nothing. And that is what the beauty of entrepreneurialism is. And I think that we all have it inside of us, but the more that we practice it, the better it gets.
Cool. I'm putting you on my whiteboard for my next creator circle. So that make sure I let you know.
Please do. So I want to be respectful of your time. So we're going to wrap this up, and I would love for people to know where they can find you and work with you.
Great. I think the easiest place is my website, womeninterestedinleavinglaw.com, and you can book a call. You can, there's a way to contact, me through there, or LinkedIn is where I tend to hang out the most. So connect with me on LinkedIn, send me a message on LinkedIn. I'm always happy to chat with people. And if I'm not the right person for you, I will help point you in the right direction. That's
awesome. And it's so easy to kind of find people these days, right? Like if it's like, where's Elena Deutsch? Okay, well, she's like on LinkedIn, right?
Yeah, totally.
Find her.
Yeah, just find me on LinkedIn. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. Great. Well, Susie, thank you so much for having me. It was really fun.
Thank you for hanging out with me. This has been a lot of fun, and I'm so excited to see where you go in the future, and where you take Will, because I think that you have some awesome things coming up in the future.
Thanks, Susie.
Have a beautiful day.
You too.
Bye.
Bye.